Right, I've been looking through the r/advice. This is going to be a Hosey and r/advice video. Sorry, I should have introduced that properly. Before we start, please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Helps my channel more than you will ever know, and my first 1,000 subscribers will have my undying love for the rest of my days. So if you want to be one of those first 1,000, please hit that subscribe button. And I hope you enjoy the stories. Right, r/advice. Mervang is the OP on this one. Found out I'm blood related to my boyfriend. Ooh, that's not ideal. I'm going to have a sip of coffee before I get into this one. Excuse me. Right, let's do this. My boyfriend, 30 male, and I, 21 male, met in Melbourne, Australia. I'm from Germany. I was staying in Australia for a while, visiting my friend and working there when we met. We clicked almost instantly. We talked for weeks, got really close, and honestly matched perfectly. He's pretty much everything I look for in a partner. Like most couples, we also shared personal stuff with each other. One thing he told me early on was that he barely talks to his dad's side of the family because he thinks they're toxic. I also met his sister at one point, and weirdly enough, she was exactly the same as my sister. I thought it was a funny coincidence at the time. Both of us came from conservative Turkish Muslim families, and neither of us is out, so we never introduced each other to our families. It would have caused a lot of unnecessary drama, and probably wouldn't have been accepted anyway. Eventually I went back to Germany. One weekend during family breakfast, my dad was on the phone with relatives in Turkey, like he usually is. At some point he started talking to his uncle. I wasn't really paying attention until I heard him mention that his uncle's kids live in Melbourne. When he said their names, the exact same names as my boyfriend and his sister, at first I thought there was no way it could actually be them. Melbourne is a huge city, and Turkish families often reuse the same names. So I tried to convince myself it was just a coincidence. But the next day I called my boyfriend and casually started asking more questions about his dad. His full name, his job, other details. And that's when it hit me. I realised I was literally dating my dad's cousin. So now I feel sadness, disgust, rage, and just so many emotions. Because I know the right thing would be to break up. But there's also this feeling that I won't find someone like him again. And that genuinely makes me want to cry. So what advice would you all give? Oh, bless your heart. What were the chances of you going to Australia from Germany and meeting your cousin and falling in love? Or your dad's cousin, so I'm assuming like second cousin to you? That was so unbelievably unfortunate, and I'm so sorry for you, dude. Let's see if the comments can give any advice. Yazar Yeet Meta. If you haven't talked to him about this, you need to. This is the sort of thing you need to deal with together. Apart from that, and strongly advising that you go to see a therapist, there's really not much we can tell you. This sucks tremendously. I'm so sorry you found yourself in this position, and I wish it hadn't happened to you. But it has. And even though you didn't do anything wrong, you're still going to have to deal with the consequences of this. I wish you the best. Yeah, I completely agree. This is a horrible situation. I feel so terrible for OP because the chances of this were so minuscule. And OP replies, I already told him. And I think he's also unsure on what the next step should be. Some say I'm making a big deal out of it since we're not closely related and none of us could get pregnant. Maybe it's just the shock I had in the moment, which gives me that disgust and made me overthink the situation. Well, I guess I'll see how it continues for me and my partner. I appreciate your help. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure where I'd stand on that. Second cousins, is it? If it's your dad's uncle, so it's your great uncle's children. But as I say, you're not first cousins, you're second cousins. Is it actually okay? I'm not sure where I stand with that, and I'm not sure what my opinion would be. Charlie Zoosh, next comment says, I completely understand why you're in total shock right now, but try to take a deep breath and look at the actual logistics here. Genetically speaking, you are first cousins once removed. On average, you only share about 6.25% of your DNA, which is the same amount you'd share with a second cousin or a great-great-grandparent. It sounds much closer on paper than it actually is biologically. The biggest hurdle you face now is purely psychological and dealing with the family awkwardness if you ever decide to come out. But from a purely biological standpoint, it really isn't a big deal. If you generally match perfectly and he's everything you're looking for, don't throw away a great relationship out of initial panic. Give yourself some time to process the shock before making any dramatic decisions. Okay, thank you, Charlie Zoosh. That's actually a really helpful comment. So it's only 6.25% DNA. So it's not second cousins, it's first cousins once removed, which is equivalent to. That's actually really helpful, and hopefully I haven't got a comment from OP in his reaction to that, but hopefully that helps and puts things into perspective a bit more for him. Oh, I wish him luck. And as Charlie Zhu says, it's more I hadn't thought of that either. It's like the coming out to the family. It's like, hey, I'm gay, which I know you absolutely hate, but also I'm seeing my first cousin once removed. That's an awkward family discussion. But I wish you luck, and I hope things work out for you and your partner. Story number 2. Plenty Designer 6261. My 31 male, best friend 30 female, of 16 years thinks I'm a predator. That's not good. I was telling my best friend about how this girl added me on Facebook and messaged me that I hadn't spoken to in about 5 years. Anyways, the girl told me she lied to me about her age back then, and she said she was 20, but she was really 17. Oh no. My best friend freaked out and called me a predator and manipulative because this makes it 2 women that lied about their ages online. To be clear, nothing sexual happened. We just shared common music interests and bonded over that. Both are in relationships that are healthy and have kids. But now my best friend thinks the absolute worst of me. She's known me for more than half our lives and knows I'm not some predator. I was just active on social media a lot 5 years ago. I've made it clear and even shown screenshots where we clearly say that we do not do anything, and they admit to lying to me about their age. Has anyone gone through anything like this before? Friend is overreacting. A smidge. I mean, a lot. I was saying a smidge to be sarcastic. I mean, you thought she was 20. This is 5 years ago, so you would have been 26. So a 20-year-old talking to a 26-year-old is absolutely fine. As you say, nothing sexual happened anyway, and you weren't doing anything. I think you have a friend issue. You don't sound like a predator to me. Let's see what the comments say. Utopia Sky Visitor says, she's being completely unreasonable. You need to point out that you can't be responsible for lies someone told you. And had you been aware of their age, you never would have talked to them in the first place. And she can't understand something so basic that there's something deeper there that she's not sharing with you. She's not having a normal reaction to the situation and is acting as if you knew these girls' ages, or should have known. Also, nothing ever happened, so yeah, she's offensive. Yeah, I agree with that. What's gone on with her for her reaction to be so over the top? Very strange. I mean, what she's been through isn't your problem, and I would say get rid of this friend, because she sounds toxic as hell. Whatever she's going through, she needs to sort out. It's not a you problem. Catherine Kelly YGM. What the opposite of being a red pill on a woman's side? I guess online brainwashing is what's happened to her. Yeah, very likely. And then Utopia Sky Visitor replies, yeah, she's really nonsensical. Super sad if she doesn't find some clarity. She won't even trust her own experiences with her best friend of 15 years. Imagine not being your own eyes. Brainwashing is the only thing that does that. Maybe severe trauma? But it's still really weird to place the blame on him here. I won't pretend to understand the brain gymnastics it takes to come to that incorrect conclusion. Unless she straight up thinks he's lying about not knowing their correct age. Yeah, but he showed the screenshots and stuff. So there's no denying the truth. And then Kathleen Kelly YGM replies, trauma and projection on him, all of that is also possible. Or she just doesn't trust him and is suspicious of him because of past behaviours. Really a lot to unpack. And then Plenty Designer 6261 says, this is the OP, I have no history or record of doing anything to be suspicious of. Yeah, your friend's reaction is odd. If that was me, I'd be offended that my friend of 15 years didn't know me well enough to automatically go to that conclusion when, first off, there was no evidence of anything sinister going on. And if there was, why would he have told her in the first place about the 20/17-year-old messages in the first place? If something weird was going on, he just wouldn't have mentioned it at all. So, yeah, you are, I know this is not the a-hole, but you are not the a-hole. Your friend certainly is. Let's read story number 3. User 6996. I'm 21 and my parents think I'm a whore because I have a boyfriend. What? At 21? Both my parents are Chinese, as am I, and we live in a European country. My parents have been here for 25 years and are still so closed-minded, it's insane. I've been with my boyfriend over a year, and today I asked if he could sleep over. Instantly flipped out and started cursing me out, saying that a man and woman can't be together in a bed or live together until they're married, and started shaming me in front of my siblings, male 23 and male 12. Oh, that's not on. Telling them not to be like me and never to be with a girl until marriage, etc. And just to interrupt the story here, to be fair, my mum was always like this. I wasn't allowed to have my partner sleep over. She frowned upon me moving out with him without being married, but obviously couldn't do anything about it. But yeah, sleepovers never would have been allowed in my home, and I am not from a strict background, and that was just old-fashioned British views. Anyway, sorry to interrupt the story. I've dealt with their constant berating for months already, especially at the start when I first began dating him. They would basically call me a slut for wanting to see him more than once a week, screaming at me when they found out I was going to be at his house and not hanging out in a public space. Mind you, we lived in a tiny town, and where we live there's nothing to do. My father literally said to me that I was selling myself for cheap, and that I act like my body is worth nothing. They're super controlling. Every time I want to leave the house, I have to report to them, and they always want to know who, what, where, why. Also, the comments my father made about my body low-key feel creepy AF. I completely agree. Like, why as a grown man are you talking about me like that? Mind you, my father is 5 years older than my mother, meaning she was underage when they first got together. The way they have the audacity to say this shit to me is so fucking ironic. It makes my blood boil. I don't understand why they don't find their arguments comically stupid. I wish I could move out so badly. If only my country wasn't going through a goddamn housing crisis right now. Are you in the UK? Anyone gone through something similar? What can I do in this situation? Worse yet is that we're planning a trip together. Ugh, that's so tricky. First of all, I'm intrigued why you asked for a sleepover, because you would have known that that was a no from how they've treated you for absolutely everything else. The fact that you can't even, like, see him more than once a week or go to his place without being called all sorts of names and being made to feel shame. I don't understand why you asked that question in the first place. You knew that was going to be a no and that you were going to be berated for it. But you're still not wrong. You're old enough to be in whatever kind of relationship you are comfortable with. You've been together for a year. This is a long-term boyfriend. My only advice is to get out as soon as you can and be with the person you love. I know that's far easier said than done, but it's kind of your only escape. But yeah, they sound toxic and hypocritical, may I just add. Anyway, let's see what the comments have to say. Mountain AD 2657. Unfortunately, you cannot change your parents, or the way in which they think and act. God forbid something horrible happens to them. You'd regret ever posting this and saying these things about your parents. There's no point in living with this much hate and spite towards them. Oh, I'm going against what I'm reading here, but I'm gonna read it out, and we'll see how we feel at the end of this. However, my parents act in such a way I just always try to remember that whatever they are saying and all of their overreactions are coming from a place of love. They aren't spiting you and they don't hate you. Obviously not 100% sure this is the case with yours, but I imagine it is. Asian parents tend to be very protective out of love. Of course, it's different to see at times, and parents with their own culture, older ideas, sound so ridiculous to us as their kids who have grown up in the West. But in my opinion, treating your parents, their rules and their ideals with at least some respect is worth it. There's no point burning the bridges which you always look out for you, no matter where you are, how old you are, etc. If you want my 2 cents, deal with it, stay positive, show your parents respect even in the times you feel they don't deserve any. Keep seeing your boyfriend and slowly lean into the idea over time. Maybe rather than a sleepover, a dinner or a family movie night, some sort of compromise to make it easier for both your parents and yourself. Please don't disrespect your family on the internet unless you truly mean it. 2 days of hatred and anger isn't worth having a removable digital footprint about how much you hate them. Training Box 7629 says, live your life. Parents want what they believe is best for their child. What they believe doesn't always coincide with what you believe or reality. They, like you, are a product of their life, surroundings, and upbringing. Prior to moving from China, they were likely in a more outwardly puritanical environment. The environment that you grew up in was more likely liberal. With that understanding, let them know that you love them and you're not the person they raised. As such, you shouldn't expect that you will act accordingly to the values that they've passed on. Asking your boyfriend to move in might not have been the best considered move. Their objective is likely rooted in their love for you and them wanting to see no harm come to you. Perhaps you might want to bring your boyfriend around to spend some time with your parents. A meal, a chore, a game, regular meetings. Once they get to know him, they might find that he too has your best interests at heart. From don't date to want him to sleep under your roof isn't a small step for them, but a huge goal. Baby steps. My wife and I don't always agree on our children's significant others, but we do want both of them to have happy lives. Yeah, that's a nicer comment than the last one. That's still understanding the parents' background, and yes, if they've come from China like before 25 years ago, they would have had a lot more stricter upbringing than you had, so they probably look at your childhood as being quite easy on you compared to theirs, but they haven't really integrated with the Western values, even though they've lived here for a long time now. Sorry, lived in Europe for a long time, not here. So maybe, I agree, some more understanding for the parents, but I don't agree with the disrespect the parents have put on the child, but maybe they don't know another way to handle it. It's definitely worth trying to introduce the boyfriend more. I'm not sure how open they'll be to that, or if they've just outright no, don't want to know him, then there's nothing you can do about that. But yeah, it has raised some interesting topics and discussion points from the last comment to this one, and hopefully other people will find this useful, because generationally things are very, very different. But I wish you all the best, and I hope life goes well for you, OP. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.